Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching CNN News 18. This is The Right Stand with me, Poonam Burde. The co-founder of microblogging site Jack Dorsey has made some startling allegations and cast doubts on India's democracy. Recounting a directive from the central government 2 years ago, Twitter's former CEO claimed that the Modi government had asked them to take down tweets and block accounts of those who were being critical of the government. It was an attempt to muzzle free speech of those who backed the agitation against the 3 farm laws. That's what Jack Dorsey alleged. But what he failed to mention, many would say very conveniently, is the inaction by the social media giant on many occasions, despite concerns being raised. What Dorsey failed to mention is that all of these tweets and Twitter accounts were seen as harmful to public order and incendiary in nature, which is why the government asked them to be taken down. Those claims were made by Dorsey during an interview when asked about the pressures he had received from foreign governments during his time as the CEO of Twitter. But those allegations have been completely rubbished by the Indian government. One minister after another called out what they claimed was blatant lies by the former CEO of Twitter. Leading the charge against Jack Dorsey was the IT minister himself, Rajiv Chandrasekhar. Let me break it down for you of what exactly the back and forth between them was. Now, Dorsey claimed that he was pressurized during the 2021 farmers' stir, to which Rajiv Chandrasekhar, the central minister, came out and said that the counter from the centre was that this is an outright lie by the former Twitter CEO. Jack Dorsey then alleged that they were threatened with Twitter shut down in India. It's a big market. The centre countered saying that there was non-compliance of laws by Twitter. You want to work here, you want business here, you have to live by the law of the land. Dorsey alleged that we were told that their homes will be raided, to which the centre says there was absolutely no one that was jailed. What was not said by Jack Dorsey was that Twitter was misusing their power as a platform. Jack Dorsey alleged that they were told to block certain accounts. No one's denying that. The centre hasn't either. The centre, in fact, has come out and said that they were obligated to remove misinformation. There's nothing wrong in that. So what exactly then happened 2 years ago in 2021? Why is it making headlines now? Now, at the height of the protests against the 3 farm laws, Government of India asked Twitter to remove tweets and hashtags and content that could inflame passions. The accounts were associated with Pak-backed separatist groups as well. That's what the government said. On the 31st of January in 2021, the centre instructed Twitter to block 257 handles. They asked them to take down any tweet which had the hashtag called Modi planning farmer genocide. The government said that these tweets are inflammatory. They can create unrest, which is why they shouldn't be given a platform. The day after, on the 1st of February, Twitter obliged. Those accounts were blocked. Twitter soon restored those accounts a few days later as well. They cited free speech in their defense. The government warned Twitter over non-compliance right then and there. A few days later, on the 4th of February, the centre once again wrote to Twitter. They said 1,178 accounts need to be blocked. The centre said some of these accounts were of Khalistani sympathizers. They also said that these accounts were backed by Pakistan. They were trying to peddle propaganda, which is why they need to be stopped. A few days later, Twitter then sought dialogue with the then IT minister. They wanted dialogue. They wanted an assurance from the government as far as action against Twitter was concerned. The safety of their staff was also something that was raised during those meetings as well. So did Twitter then comply with this government directive? Yes, they did. They were asked to block 250 accounts and posts. At least 500 accounts were taken down on the 27th of January by this microblogging site. 100 accounts and 150 tweets were blocked and deleted on the February 1st in 2021. The accounts unblocked again on the 1st of February. This is as per news reports. There was back and forth, but the directive was adhered to at least partially. So why then raise a hue and cry right now? Jack Dorsey is not completely off the mark, in fact, like I've just pointed out. The government did ask Twitter to take down the content and block these accounts. On the 2nd of February in 2021, the central government sent out a memo to the social media giant. This is what it read. They said that Modi planning farmer genocide is a hashtag that is doing the rounds on social media. It's designed to inflame hatred. This incitement to genocide is not freedom of speech. That was made very, very clear to Twitter. Impracticality cannot be decided by Twitter. That is something that was made very, very clear by the government. Twitter is bound by the orders of the central government because it is the law of the land, not because they're trying to muzzle free speech. That's what the government told Twitter. The hashtag ban also applies to the content that was tweeted. So you can't just remove the hashtag. The entire tweet needs to go, is what the government said. The content and hashtag are afoul of Section 69A of the IT Act. It was part of our law which was cited. The reason was given to Twitter of why those tweets need to be taken down. Section 69A Part 3 allows penal action for non-compliance as well. So whether they will face consequences if they do not act, that is also something that was clarified by the government. Offending content tweeted and retweeted several times. That is something that Twitter should have stopped, is what the clear message was. Now, what the government calls a mere enforcement of the law of the land is being labelled as suppression of free speech by Jack Dorsey. But can the former Twitter CEO lecture anyone on muzzling free speech? I ask that question because those are the exact allegations he faces during his tenure as the CEO of Twitter. Now, after Elon Musk took over Twitter, a series of internal documents were released. They were called the Twitter Files. They revealed how the social media giant handled high-profile content moderation decisions. This is what one of the Twitter Files alleged. This is one of the times when there was a gag that was issued. Now, this is documented evidence that has been put out by Twitter themselves. Twitter employees allegedly built blacklists. These blacklists were preventing disfavored tweets from trending. This decision was taken by a core group, so to say. Jack Dorsey was part of it. Visibility of right-wing accounts was limited by Twitter, by this particular group. The limited visibility of trending topics was done so without informing those said users. The alleged undue liberal influence is also something that these documents spoke of. They were hostile to US conservatives. That is an allegation that has come to the fore, as claimed by Twitter Files, that internal documents of Twitter go on to prove that. Now, Twitter, time and again, has vehemently denied that it shadow bans users or filters visibility based on political ideologies. They've done so multiple times in the last 2 or 3 years. Whether that claim holds any water, the jury is still out on that, and that's our big debate tonight.
India, for example. India is a country that had many requests of us around the farmers' protest, around particular journalists that were critical of the government, and it manifested in ways such as we will shut Twitter down in India.
I think he knows it, I know it, everybody knows it. It's an outright lie. The facts are there for everybody to see. Nothing of the sort happened. Nobody was raided. Nobody was put in jail. And I am very surprised and shocked that a man who used to be the CEO of this platform is today resorting to outright lies.
Sanjay Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, joins us on this broadcast. Sujata Paul, spokesperson of the Indian National Congress, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, Ghanshyam Tiwari is with me as well. Dilip Cherian, image consultant, is with me as well. But let me begin by asking Sujata Paul. Sujata Paul, the opposition today is armed by the allegations that Jack Dorsey has made. But can those allegations, can those claims be taken at face value given his checkered past and the allegation he himself faces when he was the CEO of Twitter?
How can you question him when we have been questioning our government on being dictatorial? The fact is that there is an all-pervasive atmosphere in the country where free speech is being muzzled, and there's no doubt about it. And if you talk about Jack Dorsey and what happened on 18th May 2021, when they flagged one of their national spokespersons, Sambit Patra's tweet as manipulated media, on 24th May 2021, we had Delhi police raiding their offices in Gurgaon and New Delhi. So what was that? Then if you remember, of course, you've already mentioned about February 2021, about the farmers' protest and how they were asked to, withdraw some tweets and block some Twitter handles. But I want to talk about Elon Musk. Elon Musk, when he took over Twitter, what did he say about Indian IT laws? One, he said that they could not go beyond the laws of the country, and if the choice was between sending their employees to jail and complying with the laws, then he would rather comply with the laws. Now, the laws which have been made and the IT rules which have been changed twice since that period of time have been done to suit the government, one. And secondly, if I might remind you what happened in April 2023, which is just about 2 months back, in a BBC interview, Elon Musk had said, and he actually said that it was impossible to uphold freedom of speech in India because it wasn't possible due to the strict social media laws. And I'm literally picking up from what he said, his statement, that there were strict social media laws and therefore they could not uphold freedom of speech in India, and they had to block content due to this. So this proves that what Jack Dorsey said is exactly what Elon Musk has also said. So the government needs to answer, and why are they on the back foot if they've asked for content to be blocked? We've seen it. We've seen how Rahul Gandhi's content was being blocked, how his handle was also blocked for some time, if you remember, and how his reach had been reduced, how his subscribers were being reduced.
But that's happened on both sides. We've had the former IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad's Twitter account being blocked as well. The former Vice President Venkaiah Naidu's Twitter account was also blocked for a limited period of time. So that's happened on both sides of the spectrum. But like you said...
And then the reaction was there. What I'm saying is there would be reaction, like I gave you the example of Sambit Patra. I can give you examples of all of them. Because there was a hue and cry.
Sure, but you also mentioned that even though Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey are on the same page, they both are citing laws. Elon Musk also may have said that we'd rather ensure that our employees and our staff don't go to jail. We have to adhere to the law of the land. If you want to do business, they're still doing business in India, right? They do not want to let go of that.
I'm just adding to in brief. The centre had notified multiple amendments to the IT rules in 2021. It was done to suit them. So these are laws which are being done to suit the government. So you can't hide.
So Sanju Verma, it may be the law of the land, but the law is not neutral. The law is as per your convenience.
Exactly. Yes.
Sanju Verma, your rebuttal.
Okay. I heard very patiently some of the recklessly wild allegations made, but that is par for the course coming from Congress, spokespeople. I have this to say. Let's not forget that in 2021, we had a couple of very serious incidents pertaining to breach of confidentiality and breach of privacy and breach of the law of the land by none other than Jack Dorsey and his Twitter. I clearly remember that Twitter showed Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir as not being part of India but as separate countries. There was an instance in May 2021 when Jack Dorsey's Twitter showed Leh as part of China. There was another instance when there was a communal flare-up apparently in Ghaziabad where a man called Abdul Samad said that his beard was cut because he refused to chant Jai Shri Ram. And on probing these allegations, the Ghaziabad police found that it had nothing to do with BJP, and this incident quoted by Abdul Samad was false. He actually withdrew his charges. But Twitter continued to showcase tweets around that fake video with obviously an intent to promote incendiary content. And I also remember, as you mentioned, that the blue badge of Mohan Bhagwat and Venkaiah Naidu was stripped away. Add to that the ignominy of having the IT minister, then Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, having his Twitter account blocked under the Digital Content Millennium Act of 1988 or 1998, what have you. So the point I'm making is this. When the Modi government decided to ask Twitter to step in line, was it a breach of freedom of expression from our end? No. If you're doing business in India, you have to follow the law of the land. It is as simple as that. You cannot have this attitude of my way or the highway. When you do business in the US, Poonam, if you are a listed company, which Twitter is, you have to follow the SEC Act of 1934. You have to follow the Privacy Act of 1974. You have to also follow, if you are a Silicon Valley company, the California Privacy Act of 2018. If you are a company based in the European Union, you have to follow the GDPR regulations of 2016 and 2018. If you are a company doing e-commerce in Australia, you have to follow the Electronic Transactions Act of 1999. Similarly, if you are an e-commerce company or a digital platform or an OTT platform, you have to follow the IT Act of 2001, which was subsequently amended in 2018 and 2021. And what did we do in 2021? Just give me 20 seconds. Did we clamp down on free speech? No. we redefined the word intermediary, making it more inclusive and saying that anyone who facilitates business on the internet is an intermediary and will be subject to the law of the land by Section 69 and Section 79 of the IT Act. And why was Manish Maheshwari, the then India head of Twitter, called by the Delhi police to cooperate? Because he was sent 4 notices which he refused to even take cognizance of, forget even responding to them. So my simple question is this: can an American company or its subsidiary do business in one of the 3rd largest Twitter markets in the world, blatantly violate its rules and regulations, run hashtags like Modi wants genocide of farmers?
There has to be accountability.
Show that Jammu and Kashmir is not a part
Absolutely,
of India.
there has to be accountability. You want business in this country, then you have to adhere to the laws here, Ghanshyam Tiwari.
To give us a
Isn't that kind of accountability something that should be celebrated? That is something that should be the law. You want to do business here, then you do it by the law here. Especially given the kind of past that Twitter has, irrespective of who's at the helm of affairs. Was it Jack Dorsey back then or Elon Musk now? They have a checkered past. That cannot be denied, is it?
Good evening, Poonam, to you, the viewers and the fellow co-panelists. There's a popular poetry. Raja bola raat hai, Rani boli raat hai, Mantri bola raat hai, Santri bola raat hai, sab bole raat hai, yah subah subah ki baat hai. This is the anthem of Bharatiya Janata Party. They love the word blackout. Blackout farmers when they demand for their rights. Blackout the wrestlers when they demand, the women demand their rights. Blackout the youth when they want employment. Jail the journalists. Take away the jobs. As Smriti Irani was caught on camera telling a reporter live that I will speak to the owners of your organization. This is the government that will, in probably the largest breach of privacy in India, which is the breach on COVID app, can go on record and say there has been no breach when Mr. R.S. Sharma's data...
This is not the topic of the debate.
I did not
Sanju Verma, you had your time. Let Ghanshyam Tiwari make his point. Please, I will come back to you. I'll give you enough time to rebut.
I'm just saying the topic of the debate is on Twitter. It's not on Smriti Irani.
I did not interrupt
And
anyone.
it's my job to moderate the debate, Sanju Verma. Be patient.
Yes,
I will come to you.
Poonam, stop telling me what your job is. I know what your job is. Stop getting so defensive all the time.
Then let's have a civil debate, ma'am. You had your time.
Yes,
Let
let's
Mr.
have a
Ghanshyam
civil
Tiwari
debate.
go ahead.
I know
Mr.
you're
Tiwari, go ahead.
Stop being so churlish all the time.
This is the government that has jailed journalists, jailed comedians even before they cracked the joke, that have taken away jobs of the journalists, that have supported lynching and in different ways. They're the party that runs the largest IT trolls, where the spokesperson and the IT cell chief is regularly called out for fake news, where the minister of IT, instead of saying that this privacy is the largest privacy that India has, privacy breach that India has seen, goes on to defend it. So whatever today, it's unfortunate that even a Jack Dorsey has a higher credibility than ministers in this government, because they want the information to be shut down. They stood against privacy laws in the
But does he have more credibility?
Stand against transparency in electoral bonds. Tell me one occasion where this government had stood up for the citizens' right, or for privacy of the citizens, or for rights of the citizens. They are a dictatorial form of government that has been shunted out of Karnataka and will be shunted out of India, because India does not want future progenies of Hitler-style democracy. They want a country that is proud of its democracy, and every day BJP is taking Indian democracy to its lowest ever.
Sure, but Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, when you say that Jack Dorsey has more credibility, I don't think that's the right thing to say. I'll tell you why. Because Twitter files that was released, a part of it went on to talk about how in March this year, when one of the Twitter files was released, it said 40,000 Twitter accounts were sent to Twitter by a US think tank. They wanted those Twitter accounts to be blocked. They claimed that these accounts were engaging in inauthentic behavior in support of Hindu nationalism. But when checked out, they all turned out to be real people. They all turned out to be, most of them, American citizens who had never set foot in India, didn't have any relatives here, didn't have any family here. Wasn't that biased too? Then why do we talk about Jack Dorsey's credibility?
Did Twitter set out against farmers? No. This government, elected by the farmers, who told a blatant lie to the farmers that your income will double in 2022. They set out against the farmers, both in social media and electronic media. You tell me one occasion where this government had stood up. Do they stand with the rights of our
objection
men
to your
who are
reckless lies.
Thing?
Sure.
Tell me one occasion.
So you say leave aside Jack Dorsey or Twitter's credibility, but what about the promises the government make? Sanju Verma, if there are questions that are being raised, not just by the opposition in this particular case, if there are questions that are being raised about certain directions that were given to Twitter, why dismiss them outrightly? And like I said, it's not just the opposition. Twitter did go to court over certain directives that were coming in from the central government, on which the Karnataka High Court, even though the matter is sub judice now, the Karnataka High Court, while hearing the case, had raised questions on what the rationale of the government is.
Yeah. Are you done, Poonam?
I'm done with my question. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Because I don't want to be heckled by you when I'm talking. You have this habit of heckling the
I didn't heckle you at all. Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari was speaking. You interrupted, so I had to give him his time. But go ahead.
Yes, it's a debate. It's a debate. If somebody makes reckless allegations at the government, I will
and now you have your time,
lecturing
Sanju Verma. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Stop lecturing me. Let me intervene. I'm not here to listen to your lectures, Poonam. Thank you. First and foremost, Ghanshyam Tiwari keeps saying this government. This government. Let me tell you, Narendra Modi is also your Prime Minister as much as he's my Prime Minister. This government, as in the Modi government, Ghanshyam Tiwari, is as much your government as it is my government. And let me tell you one more thing, that you keep saying, what has this government done? This government has opened 48 crore Jan Dhan bank accounts, the world's largest financial inclusion scheme. This government has given free health insurance via 22 crore Ayushman cards to the poorest of the poor. This government has given 23 lakh crore worth of mudra loans to 40 crore entities under the world's largest self-employment generating scheme. This government has given free life insurance under various, be it Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Yojana, to more than 65 crore Indians. This is the government which gave one of the world's safest and largest vaccination drives as a classic textbook template for everyone to imbibe from.
Is this debate about Twitter and Jack Dorsey's statement? What is she talking about?
I am telling about what all this government has done.
No, you will not. You will
Ghanshyam
please stick to the topic.
Making reckless allegations that this government did no good. And as for you, let me tell you, under the Congress we had the days of emergency which still continue to
try to
run.
harass and intimidate
Do you
people
remember
on this debate,
1975?
like this government is trying.
Do you remember
because nobody is going to allow you to do it.
Do you remember the
Have you
first
forgotten
amendment
the
by
rape that was
Jawaharlal
carried
Nehru
out
in
on Newsclick and
1961?
News Laundry in
Do you
September
remember the
2021?
1976 42nd Amendment
This
by
government
Indira
is
Gandhi
only
calling
trying
free
to
speech?
muzzle
Do
the
you remember
voices
the
of
Shah
people,
judgment
and
that was
that's what
overturned
you
by
are trying to
Rajiv
do on this
Gandhi?
program.
And you are sitting here and giving me a bhashan on democracy and ethics.
You
I
tell
just
me,
flew out of the window.
was the
I
Dairy
just flew
Bhaskar
out of
group
the window,
not
madam.
raided? This is how you muzzle the free voices.
Of 2001,
Did tax officials not raid the Oxfam India group?
Sanju Verma and Sujata Paul, let me put a pause in this. Dilip Cherian is also patiently waiting on this debate. I apologize, I haven't had the time to come to you yet. But I want to ask you, Twitter and many other social media giants are being held accountable over various reasons around the world. So if they are being held accountable over their conduct in India, why is that so wrong?
There isn't anything wrong with finding fault with any social media platform. Let's get this straight. All of them have problems. All of them are also violating individual country laws. But I think the more important thing for the moment is to figure out what the Jack Dorsey comments have done to the image of India. If you ask me, that is the big reason why everybody is excited about it in terms of defending and offending others, defending the government and offending others. We have a situation where the government of India has announced categorically and on multiple times that we want to empower a digital India. It is inevitable that when you empower people with digital tools, there will be from time to time people who misuse them. But the answer to that is not to either attack the platforms or, like in Manipur, suspend the internet.
Sure.
The idea is to make sure that we have more checks and balances in place and not more severe laws or more threats to arrest. That is not the way civilized countries, democratic countries manage these problems.
Sure.
Yes, you did mention, and someone went through a litany of American laws. The laws are in place. They have to be adhered to, and there are punishments. But they are all in proportion to the kind of capability of social media giants to respond to, large groups of people who have determined to make a kind of messaging and use the messaging platform to get their word across.
Sure.
So I think that what has happened as a result of Jack Dorsey's statement is that we as Indians have had one more opportunity to consider, is there something wrong? And I don't think that there's anything wrong in navel gazing. I don't say there's anything wrong in formulating your
Sure.
own particular laws.
Sure.
But the fact is that there is a world which expects India to be the +1 and the option to China.
Sure, but we do have those laws, and there are questions that are being raised on those laws as well. Like I said
And
right
I
at the
think
beginning,
that's
the
a good
centre says
thing.
that all we're doing is enforcing the law of the land, but that is being tagged as muzzling of free speech or muzzling of dissent. Where then do we go from there? There's always be two sides of the
My point
spectrum.
is very simple. My point is very simple, that you need to have laws, but you need to make sure that those laws don't become something which results in extreme measures on platforms and thus result in a muzzling of speech. I
Sure.
completely endorse the fact that we need to have rules, we need to have regulations, but we need to make sure that the punishments under it are proportionate to the kind of expectations we have for free speech.
Sure. Ghanshyam Tiwari, I want to ask you this. There are questions that are being raised about the law in itself, that the law in itself has an issue. The law was tilted and made so to suit a certain narrative. That's the allegation that has been made by the opposition on many occasions. That was done so on this debate as well. But I want to ask you, Twitter has been under the scrutiny of a parliamentary panel as well. That has members of parliament from other parties too.
Well,
when you have...
let's start with
go
the
ahead.
law itself, right? In a country which is seen as Vishwaguru and the largest democracy in the world, we have the parliament being shut out by the prime minister when he has a thumping majority in the parliament. How shameful is that? So we have a government that churns out ordinances after ordinances, even if those ordinances go against the spirit of Constitution and the Supreme Court order.
Sure.
How shameful is that? So there is no platform where this government, I repeat, this government, which apparently has given 40 crore mudra loans or 45 crore mudra loans as per Sanju Verma ji, in a country which has 26 crore families, which means that every family has got 2 mudra loans. How shameful is to claim that? So a government that is out and out there to spread lies, to force people to believe in makeshift realities when the common man is suffering, which will not allow debates in parliament to happen, which will muzzle media, which will put journalists in
So
jail.
I'm
take
sorry
them
to
out
interrupt
of
you, like
jobs.
Ghanshyam Tiwari, but I'm running short of time, which is why I want to reiterate the question I asked you. The scrutiny is not just by the BJP. The scrutiny is also by a parliamentary panel which has members of parliament of all other parties. So if
Right,
they
but,
can hold Twitter accountable on one aspect, then why can't Twitter be held accountable on another?
May I just
It
quickly
must be
rebut
held-
what he said, Poonam?
India is a large country. For a lot of these tech giants, whether it is Google, Facebook, Twitter, they must be held accountable. But it is important that our own government has a credibility, the ministers have a credibility, and the track record of saying truth
May I please come in?
to us much higher than these platforms. Unfortunately, the credibility of ministers in this government plummets every day.
No,
Every
I'm
day.
sure.
So
Lost the elections. in
Sure, we're talking
2022
about
for the second
credibility.
time
We're
in a
talking
row,
about
so you should not
credibility,
be
but like
talking
I
about
said, the credibility
for a
of Jack Dorsey when he was the CEO of Twitter is also checkered. So that is a matter of debate as well, as far as talking about taking those claims at face value. But Sanju Verma, go ahead. Sujata Paul, I'll come back to you, but Sanju Verma wanted to make a rebuttal. Go ahead, Sanju Verma.
Thank you. Poonam, I just want to remind Ghanshyam, I'm sure he has that much of intelligence to appreciate that while there may be 20 or 25 crore households, each household roughly on an average has 4 to 5 members. So when I say 40 crore entities got mudra loans, it means that from a household, more than one member could have got a mudra loan. I'm sure that is not too tough to understand, Ghanshyam. Now coming to the more important point. You know, this person, Mr. Tiwari, Ghanshyam Tiwari, sits here and gives me bhashan about democracy being in danger. This is the same party which supported the Congress, who passed the First Amendment under Jawaharlal Nehru, the Congress party, who has been your alliance partner, who passed the 42nd Amendment in 1976 to curb the power of judicial review of high courts, Indira Gandhi, from the Congress party, who has been your alliance partner, who overturned the Shah Bano judgment, Rajiv Gandhi from the Congress party, who has been your alliance partner, who ordered firing on car sevaks in 1990, your Netaji Mulayam Singh Yadav, who openly said he did it to appease Muslims. And let me also tell you that you may be, belonging to a school of thought which believes that my way or the highway is okay. But I'm sure, Ghanshyam Tiwari, even in your Samajwadi party, you are accountable to your Lal Topi Wale Netaji Akhilesh Yadav. Or do you run amok doing as you please? When it is the Congress, I'm sure it is the dynasty which holds sway. I'm sure Sujata Paul is accountable to the dynasty. Rahul, Priyanka, Robert Vadra, whatever.
You are accountable only to one man, okay?
You
are slaves to one man.
The law of the land. You have to
You are slaves to one man.
So, irrespective of who the accountability is, there has to be accountability. Sujata Paul, can we agree on that? There has to be accountability.
Within the institution.
Of course, I said that right at the beginning. But the point is that the atmosphere in the country today is such that the government is going to be questioned, because you spoke about the 250 accounts which were blocked by Twitter on the insistence of the government in February 2021. What happened 6 hours later? Twitter restored those accounts and they said that there was insufficient justification. And what happened after that? The Indian government immediately ordered Twitter to block the accounts and told the company's employees that legal action would be taken, which could make them end up in jail for 7 years if they did not comply. So what was happening over there? And
but if they have broken the law, then they will have to face the consequences. Isn't that what accountability is about?
No, when you change the rules and laws according to your convenience, see, the government was not reaching out to the farmers. They were so perturbed when the farmers were being supported by Rehana and Greta. And that got international attention. So they started talking about a toolkit. So they wanted that, the toolkit issue should be propagated by Twitter and all social media platforms. That did not happen, so that did not suit them. That is not how a democracy works.
Agitating against the Kudankulam Tamil Nadu nuclear.
The government called our farmers perjibis or parasites. This is what the government was doing. Whereas the world was questioning us. What was the BJP government doing then?
So,
they have no answers.
It's procedure versus propaganda. That debate continues. It has only been highlighted once again by the claims that were made by the former CEO of Twitter that has sparked off this entire debate. It's the law of the land, says the central government. It's an attempt to muzzle and silence free speech, says the opposition, much like what Jack Dorsey has also been saying. Unfortunately, we have to leave it at that. I thank all my panelists for joining us here on this broadcast.